What's going on, y'all? This is your boy Kev coming to you with another video, man. Just want to get into maybe not all, but the major portion of the news that happened last night as far as NBA trades, free agencies, re-signings, everything. I mean, I might get to Patty Mills re-signing with the Spurs and Ricky Rubio being traded to the Wolves and all that, and then who was that? Who's the other point guard that signed with Minnesota? It don't even matter because I want to get to the big stuff. Me living in Kansas City, Missouri, Royals fan. I was out enjoying the game last night as they took on the Twins, beat the Twins 8-1. That's a story for another video. I had a Bleacher Report app on my phone, and I'm seeing news come in and come in and come in. And the first big story to hit was Blake Griffin re-signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. To be honest, I thought it was a terrible move by Blake Griffin. I mean, obviously, he opted out of his contract, his former contract, I should say. And then, Chris Paul opted out of his contract, and then he was traded to Houston for Patrick Beverley and Lou Williams and a draft pick. I just thought that it was time for Blake Griffin to go somewhere else, start over, I thought the two biggest destinations for Blake Griffin will be either Boston or go back to his hometown and play with Russell Westbrook and the Oklahoma City Thunder. But obviously that wasn't the case, and I guess it kind of brings into question what the thing about Chris Paul and Doc Rivers' relationship, and how other players were the notion that was brought up about how other players were feeling when Doc Rivers brought Austin Rivers' son to play with him. I'm guessing Blake Griffin didn't feel that way, or the Clippers had the most money to offer him. I think so. He was a restricted free agent. He wasn't an unrestricted free agent. He was a restricted free agent. But I still think he got the max. He got the max. It was like 5 years. I forgot how many million, but it was a lot. I mean, as far as winning a championship, it's not looking good for the Clippers, man. I mean, unless they have a lot of faith in Patrick Beverley, I don't think Beverley's gonna be throwing the lobs like Chris Paul did. But I mean, Beverley's a great defender, and you have Lou as a scorer. But still, like the Clippers' last few years, there's still a piece missing. There's still a piece missing, and I don't know if they're gonna get that piece. I really don't know if they're going to get that piece or not. So, I just don't. I mean, as far as a move for, being able to as far as going to a contender, I thought Blake Griffin was going to go to a contender, but he did not. So, it's I just don't. I don't understand the move. It's kind of like Carmelo Anthony with the Knicks. There ain't no way you're going to win a championship with this team. So, unless you about the money and not championships, to each his own. But, I'm trying to win a championship. If it's me, I'm trying to win a championship, Because, hey, a championship brings money, Blake, he has the endorsements and all that, so Is it really about the money? I mean, I clearly thought it was going to be a homecoming for Griffin to go back home to Oklahoma, man, and play with Russell Westbrook. I mean, it just seemed like it was a match made. But I guess Oklahoma City didn't really want to go for him because they were always locked into Adams. They were always locked into Cantor. You know, guys who play that 4-5 position like Griffin plays. I don't know. So I don't know, but yeah. First big news tonight: Griffin stays with the Clippers. I don't like the move for him. You know, maybe the Lakers can get that other piece, you know, to make them a contender. But still, with that type of team and with DeAndre Jordan struggles at the free throw line, I mean, you're still not gonna get Cleveland. I'm sorry, you're still not going to get Golden State. You're still not going to get Golden State. I'll get to Cleveland a little bit later. Anyway, moving on. The other huge news of the night. We finally have a winner to the Paul George sweepstakes. And it is not who you think it's not who we thought it would be. Indiana finally traded Paul George last night. And they traded him to the No, it wasn't Cleveland. They traded him to the No, not Boston. They traded him to L.A. No, he didn't go to L.A. Paul George gets traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I said it on Facebook and my Twitter last night. Westbrook finally has some legit help. I mean, it was very surprising. I mean, a lot of people were shocked by this move. I mean, because a lot of people didn't think that Oklahoma City would be in play. You know, and like I was saying earlier with about Blake Griffin, you know, I thought he would be the guy to go to Oklahoma and help out Westbrook. But no, it's Paul George. All the speculation about Boston, all the speculation about Cleveland, all of that about going to LA, maybe being traded to LA this year, this offseason, and wanting to go there after his contract expires next year. He's going to be in OKC. And a lot of people did not. A lot of people think it's a bad risk for the Thunder because they're basically saying that, you know, Paul George is basically on borrowed time. He's basically what you call him, a mercenary for a year. You know what I'm saying? You just bring him in. He just plays the season out and he leaves. You know. I mean, in Cleveland, you could see Paul George probably staying because. Well, I'll get to that a little bit later. We'll get to Cleveland a little bit later, but yeah, it's very surprising. But Paul George with the reigning MVP it's going to be a show. And you know, people talk about Paul George never see the ball again. I mean, the Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double, man. 10 plus assists a game. So I'm pretty sure Paul George is going to see the ball, you know. And then he gives the Thunder that guy to run the offense around so Westbrook can take a break. Because, in that, again, going back to that Houston series in the playoffs, when Westbrook went to the bench, kind of similar to LeBron in Cleveland, it was, the team did not show up when Westbrook was out, and they got ramrodded by the Rockets bench. Oh yeah, Nene also re-signed with the Rockets as well. But yeah, I mean, Paul George is a guy that Russell Westbrook can, you know, maybe, I'm not saying defer to, but at least he can put the ball in Paul George's hands and not have to worry about doing so much, you know, and he can take a break and everything. But yeah, this news was really surprising, man. Paul George going to OKC. We'll see what happens. You know, they're still maybe one or two pieces away from actually challenging Golden State, but you know, it's a move in the right direction. But we'll see what happens with Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City could also, I don't know if they've done it yet, but I think because remember Westbrook signed the extension last year. I think it was for like 2 years. I think this is going to be the last year, but they could give him a super max extension for 5 years and 200. I think it was like $201 million. A lot of people think that he should not take the deal because he proved his loyalty last year by staying after Durant left. But you know, as far as taking that extension, they say he shouldn't because he you know, they say Russell Westbrook should, you know, ESPN I should say. That's the only thing I watch. I don't watch Fox that much, but they say he should you know, weigh his options, and he should also see if the Thunder are willing to do what needs to be done to put guys around him. You know, I mean, for what he did for that team last year, you know, for the loyalty that he showed by staying, and then for the season that he put on, he definitely deserves the Supermax. He definitely deserves 200-some million. I'll tell you that much. He definitely deserves that. I mean, I don't know. There's a guy on ESPN last night said, well, Russell Westbrook won the sympathy vote last year. I mean, the dude balled out. I mean, for everyone that said that Westbrook was going to take 50 shots a game when Kevin Durant left, I mean, he proved everyone wrong. He proved everyone wrong. I didn't know if Westbrook was capable of averaging 10 assists a game. You know what I'm saying? But he proved us wrong, man. And for all that stuff about, you know, the teammates boxing out, guys not even going to the ball just to let Westbrook get the rebounds and all that. But all that's I don't know about all that. But yeah, it was a hell of a season, man. He deserved MVP. Like I said, they would have been more of a challenge if they had another guy, but they have another guy now, so we'll see how that dynamic changes in the West, man. But yeah, this is probably the biggest story, really biggest story tonight, because, you know, for last couple of weeks, we were wondering, where is Paul George going? And we finally got that answer. Like I said, it's just not who we thought he would be going to. I want to touch on the defending champs for a second because, you know, they finally paid their guy his due. And I ain't talking about Kevin Durant. I mean, you know, I'm a LeBron fan, so Steph Curry is not my favorite guy, but I mean, the dude has balled out of his mind. He has balled out of his mind the last few years, man. He has balled out of his mind, and the dude deserved his money. I mean, he most definitely deserved his money, and I guess midnight Eastern. He wasn't even midnight on the West Coast yet, but midnight Eastern. Free agency began, and the Warriors literally wasted no time in giving that guy the max 5 years. I think 201 or 207 million. I forgot which one it is, but it's the highest contract as far as value in the NBA history. I mean, two-time MVP, first unanimous MVP, two-time champion now. I mean, 3-point babyface assassin, I mean, the guy that set the league on fire the last few years. Like I said, I'm a LeBron fan, so I ain't the biggest Steph Curry fan, but I mean, the dude deserved every penny of that. He deserved every penny, especially coming from early in his NBA career. We all were got on the Curry bandwagon. I forgot when that was, like '08 or '09, when he was a senior at Davidson. Davidson made a run to the Elite Eight. Elite Eight. I mean, he had LeBron on his on he had LeBron's witness campaign on him. They came out with red shirts, Davidson red shirts with the word witness and the Nike logo on it, because this dude was spectacular to watch. He led Davidson to the Elite Eight, almost a Final Four. I mean, you knew he had it in him then, but then he had the ankle issues. Like his first couple years, and he started wearing the braces, and everything was cool. He had less injuries. He was able to ball more. Of course, his dad, Dell Curry, he was known for his shooting ability. I mean, but Steph just took it to another level, man. He just took it to another level. I don't know how far he has to go as far as all time all the record for all time 3-pointers made, but to pass Ray Allen, but he's gonna get there. He might obliterate the record. He might obliterate the record. I mean, it's probably gonna be him and Klay Thompson on top of the 3-point. For the most 3-pointers made for maybe years to come, unless something changes in the NBA. Man, I mean, he's awesome. He's awesome. I give him his due. I hate him, but I give him his due. The dude's the man, and like I say, he deserves his money. He deserves his money. He deserves his money. Okay, now I want to talk about Boston, the Boston Celtics. I'm actually watching rewatching for the 5th time the Boston and LA Best of Enemies 30 for 30, man. It's so damn good, man. I just gotta watch it more and more. But I want to get to today's Boston Celtics. Danny Ainge, and all the picks that he has, of course, getting him from Boston way back when he traded Paul Pierce and KG to the Brooklyn Nets. It started there, and then it just built up. I think did they trade Rondo, or I forgot if they traded Rondo or not, but I think he might have got another pick out of that. But they got stockpile of picks, first round picks too, and then for years down the line. And this off season was really supposed to be about the Celtics, because that's all everyone was talking about. Boston with Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, they were the only team in the East to beat Cleveland in a game. The future looked bright. They had the number 1 pick from Brooklyn. You thought they were going to get Markelle Fultz. Like I said, I think that was a great move by Boston not to get Markelle Fultz, because I didn't think him and Thomas would be good in the backcourt together. Both of them are slashers, scorers. You don't know who the passing would have came from, but yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. You thought this was going to be Boston's offseason. It still could be. But I mean, not what we thought it would be. All the picks and all the assets they have. It could have traded for guys like George or Griffin or Butler. But all 3 of those guys have ended up with different teams. Or in Griffin's case, his same team. Butler goes to Minnesota. George goes to OKC. You really thought that Boston would have at least two free agents on the market, or two guys on the market, I should say. Now probably their only hope of saving face is Gordon Hayward. I mean, the guy, free agent out of Utah, he just opted out of his player option, so he becomes an official unrestricted free agent. But Utah Jazz can offer the most money. We'll see what happens with that. Miami Heat are in play, as possible destinations for Hayward. But again, we seen with Butler, we seen with George, we seen with Griffin. They haven't gone to who we thought they would go to. Excuse me. So, you never know what's going to happen. And if Boston loses out on Hayward, this might be one of the worst off seasons that I've ever seen from a team that with that many assets. It would really be a failure if Boston does not get Gordon. I don't think it's that good because they didn't get another guy. They didn't get either Griffin, Butler, or George. But if they don't get Hayward, this is really a failed offseason for Danny Ainge and the Celtics. Now I guess they can get guys during trades maybe during the season, but this would be a really failed offseason if they don't get at least one other superstar to come over there with Isaiah Thomas. Jason Tatum, they first round pick, third overall pick. He looks good. From Duke, I really like him. I liked him a little better than Josh Jackson. Now, I'm glad that Boston made the same decision. He has made news for making 10 threes in a row at the end of a Celtics practice or something. But, yeah, man. If Boston doesn't make a move here, they could seriously. That this might be one of the worst off seasons ever for a team that has that much to offer. For a star player, I don't know. Boston is set for years to come, but I mean, if they don't make a move here, they supposedly they're in a win. They wanted to be in a win now situation. They wanted to be in a win now situation, but they just haven't been able to make the move now. News has come out that they offered for George at the trade deadline. The trade was denied. They offered for Butler, and the trade was denied. So obviously, other teams didn't want picks or whatever. But it's crazy. It's crazy. When I really look at what's went down since free agency has begun this offseason, I can only look at one team as kind of the biggest winner of the offseason. I mean, and the team that I look at as the biggest winner of the offseason hasn't made any moves at all. As a matter of fact, they tried to trade away their third best player. On the team, and could get nothing for him. Because of his inability of showing up in the finals. Yes, I think the biggest winner of this offseason so far has been the Cleveland Cavaliers, because you have the two biggest names. In the Eastern Conference that were on the market, as far as Jimmy Butler and Paul George. They were the two biggest names in the Eastern Conference, that was on the market. Even though they themselves, the Cleveland Cavaliers, did not get them, those two guys have now moved out west. So now, like reports were saying last night, the East looks even weaker than it already is. And what does that mean for the Cavaliers, who can make no moves anyway because of the cap and the decisions they made and the money that they've given out? They could probably have another cakewalk to the NBA Finals. They could probably have another cakewalk to the NBA Finals. Now, will they beat Boston? Excuse me, I'm sorry. Will they beat Golden State with the team that they have? Like I said, I believe they can. They just got to change. They just got to change. You know, it's offensive mind. They got to change. They got to have a new offensive mind. They got to get guys moving out the basketball. If they got to have guys moving out the basketball, I think they can really. I think they can really have a chance. But you know, more than likely not. They're not going to play warrior ball like that. But I mean, the Cleveland Cavaliers seem like they're the biggest winner, even though they probably won't. Even though they probably won't win the NBA championship, will be Golden State. But you know, Golden State will definitely have to go through a rougher patch. You know, I mean, hell, they swept through the West last year, but I mean, the West this year. I mean, this upcoming year is like it's going to be really, really good, really good. Oh man, it's whew. That's crazy. It's crazy. Like every major, ESPN did something last night. The top 12 players in the NBA as far as their standards. Number one was LeBron James. And the reason why I say that is James was number one, but he's the only player out of those 12 guys that's not in the Western Conference. I mean, LeBron is the. I mean, as far as you know, as the trades, as far as everything of free agency that's happened right now. 12 best players in the NBA. 11 of them are in the West. 11 guys are in the West. LeBron James is the only guy in the Eastern Conference. I mean, I don't know what's going on here, man. Like I said, Boston's got to make a move. They're obviously the second best team they're still the second best team in the East. I should not obviously they're still the second best team in the East. I mean, now it gets hard because you don't know what Lowry's going to do with Toronto. Obviously, Indiana wasn't that good to begin with. Now losing George, yeah. I mean, it's time for the process to become reality. I mean, if you can get all those guys, all those young guys, healthy, on the floor at the same time, I think Philly can be a legit contender. Because you look at their starting lineup, you know, potential starting lineup. You have Fultz, you have Simmons, you have Okafor, you have Embiid, maybe him and Sackridge, or however you say his last name, can switch out. Dude. I mean, like Embiid said on Twitter last night, playoff spots is opening up. I mean, they could be a top 4 seed in the East. They could be a top 4 seed in the East next year. You know, man, it's just crazy. They could be a top 4 seed in the East next year, the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, of course, you remember what happened was at 2012 with Collins as their head coach when they were able to knock off the Bulls, top seeded Bulls, when they were the number 8 seed. Oh man, no, not 2012. I'm sorry. It was I think it was who was it? Maybe 2010. 2010, I believe, when They knocked off the Bulls. I forget. No, it wouldn't. What was Cleveland's record that year? I don't know if they were on the one seed or not. But anyway, man, it's. I mean, it seemed like Cleveland is going to once again steamroll to the NBA Finals. I mean, the East is weak, man. The East is weaker than it already is. I don't even know why they should even play the Eastern Conference next year. It might as well be Cleveland, and then the West in the playoffs, man. I mean, I'd rather watch the whole Western Conference and Cleveland I probably watch maybe 10 teams. Let's see, I mean 8 per conference. It'll be too short, but yeah, it's basically Cleveland and the West. Probably Golden State, but that's the only entertaining thing. NBA season has the NBA regular season. They talk about the low ratings in a regular season. Nobody's gonna watch the inevitable. Yes, it looks like Cleveland and Golden State might be on their way to a 4th straight matchup in the NBA Finals. When it's all said and done, LeBron James might make 10 straight NBA Finals if he decides to stay in Cleveland. That's what I'm saying. You see Butler, and you see George go out west. I'm talking about the year after next year. George probably joins the Lakers. I don't know. I don't. If you're LeBron, do you really want to go to Los Angeles? Do you really want to go to the Lakers? And try to challenge Golden State. Yeah, he might have Lonzo Ball. He might have George. But do you really want to go to the West when you can just slide through to the NBA Finals with Cleveland every year, basically? For maybe the next 2 or 3 years at least. Do you really want to go out west? I mean, never know. LeBron James never played for a Western Conference team. Maybe that's his thing. I want to play for at least one Western Conference team before I retire. I don't think it would be very smart. I definitely don't believe it would be very smart for LeBron to do that. But that's his decision. But Cleveland, whew. Looks like they're going to dominate the East once again. I mean, it really has become the Wild Wild West. It really has become the Wild Wild West. I mean, again, ESPN ranks the top 12 players in the league, and 11 of them are in the Western Conference. I mean, this is going to be some type of spectacle in the Western Conference. Now, still, obviously, the favorite is still going to stay the defending champs because you got 4 All-Stars in the starting lineup. And it looks like they're going to keep most of their bench intact, because they re-signed Livingston. I just seen that they re-signed West. Don't know what Iguodala's going to do because, Iguodala was probably the biggest contribution of them all. Iguodala was that 5th guy in the death lineup. He played the 3. He played the 3. Curry, Clay, and then Draymond. Well, that was the death lineup in 2015. Now 2017, you bring Durant in, you put Durant the 4, and then Draymond plays the 5. That's the death lineup. That's what won them most games. Their ability to go small, but be able to defend all 5 players on the court. If you lose Iguodala, I don't know. I mean, Livingston, his defense is not that good. I mean, maybe West plays a bigger role or something, but you lose Iguodala, man. Iguodala was 2015 Finals MVP for a reason. He was 2015 Finals MVP for a reason. His defense, and his timely offense, and you see it in this last NBA Finals series. Iguodala, 20 points in the deciding Game 5. Iguodala probably hadn't put 20 points since since his Philly days. I'm just joking. I think he has had a few 20-point games with the Warriors, but Iguodala is a huge piece, probably the best player off the bench for the Warriors. And I was saying, looks from the way it looks, it seems like he's not even considering Golden State in his free agency options. He's like, all right, I won 2 championships. I'm ready to go elsewhere, help some other team. So the Spurs are looking at him. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. But I mean, I think it'll be a lot more competitive in the East than it was last year. I don't think Golden State's going to be able to sweep their way to the finals, like they did this year. But like I said, I think Cleveland is cakewalk in the East. Like I said, LeBron. I mean, if this holds up to next year where George stays in the West and Jimmy Butler stays in the West, I mean, I think LeBron will be a fool. I think LeBron will be a fool to go to the Western Conference, to be honest. Hell, he can go back to Miami. He can go to Boston. He can go to Boston. I mean, but going to the Western Conference, I don't see a reason for that. I don't see a reason for that at all. Going to LA, Lakers, going anywhere in the West, I don't see a reason for it. Anyway, that's not my decision to make. So, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate y'all so much. Let me know what y'all think. Wish y'all number positive vibes only. I'm gonna see y'all in the next video.